Okay, so Jesse and Taya, which part of our section did you guys cover?
Pioneer life.
Pioneer life, and what else? And pioneer families. Okay, so what are you going to tell us about pioneer life and pioneer families today?
Work that each person did.
Okay, what about it? Sure, however you want to do it. However you want to teach us.
Pioneer men worked on homesteading prairies in North Dakota. Men usually did the hardest or heaviest work. Breaking the sod was generally a job for two people. The oldest boys helped out when they could.
Okay, what else? Huh? Pioneer women. Okay, what about the pioneer women?
Women did work as well. They cooked and cleaned. They milked cows and raised poultry. Pioneer women also used a churn to make clean and butter.
Okay.
Pioneer children. Pioneer children also did work. Girls used to sew and knit at a very young age. The boys helped with fathers.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, so tell us about your pictures.
One have cutting all the hay and stuff, and then breaking the sod.
So did they have big tractors to break the sod?
No, they had like 75 horses.
Okay, so they used horses, and what else? How else did they break the sod? With a plow? So did the plow have an engine on it?
No, they just put some weight on it, like bricks or tires, and help break it down.
So did something pull the plow?
The horses.
Oh, the horses did? Okay.
Spring wheat.
What about the spring wheat?
Like
That's what the spring wheat looked like? Okay.
Those cows down in the corner.
the cook part.
They what?
Cook part.
Oh, okay. So was pioneer life hard or was it easy?
The thing said that it wasn't always easy.
Okay. So from what you read, was it similar to life now or was it different?
Yes, it was different.
How was it different?
They had a lot more jobs and they were a lot harder than today because they didn't have all the machines and all that stuff.
Okay. All right. And do any of you have any questions about pioneer life or pioneer families for your teachers? Okay, Dexter, what's your question?
How hard were the kids' work?
Well, yeah, usually they just did the work that they had to do and then it was over. Yeah. Factories and food carts and stuff like that.
Okay, so did they have really long days or were their days short or what were their days like?
Like half the day. They usually were chores and then the rest of the day
So, so most of their day was spent working, right?
Every pioneer family had.
Okay, so they had vegetable gardens and
kids had to mend them, take all the weeds out and stuff like that.
I suppose some of them had to carry water too and things like that. Okay, so the life of the children was pretty busy too. It was filled with lots of work.
Yeah,
Pretty hard.
a lot of kids didn't go to school. They had to work.
Help work on the farm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Give them a hand, please. Thank you, guys. Do you just want to set your work over on the table, please?
Miss Larson, we can go next.
You're ready? Okay. Cadence's group can come up front, please. You're part of Cadence's group, right, kiddo? Okay, you want to go up there and talk about your work? You guys worked really hard on that. All right, so Cadence's group is Cadence and Devontae and my friend Derek, right? Derek, do you want to come help hold that and stuff?
Can I just set this down?
Yeah, you can set it down. You can move the chair to set it down.
So basically, we had homesteading and farming,
Okay.
and what they did for the men when they did farming is we made a field, and they didn't really necessarily have like wheat, like on a lot of like the bonanza farms were the only ones that had corn.
Okay.
They just had like wheat and some other ones. So basically, what the men would do is they would work in the fields, and sometimes the fields would be like so big that in order to get them done in time, they would hire neighbors and hire people that they knew to come and help them.
Okay.
And then this is called the cook car, which is what the woman did. They were in the cook car and they made food for the people who were working in the field. And usually there was a furnace in there and a curtained off area for sleeping and a workspace.
Okay.
So it's like a
So, yeah, kind of like a camper.
Okay.
And then this, they'd have a wagon pulled by like a team of horses that would carry all their crop back.
Okay.
And usually the oldest child would run that and like bring it back and forth and set off the hay and stuff.
Okay.
And then the children were in charge of getting water and bringing it to everybody in the field, working in the field.
That's really awesome. So, what was the difference between like a regular farm and a bonanza farm?
Bonanza farms were like a lot bigger.
Okay.
They'd own like a whole bunch of acres of land. Their fields would be like 3 times bigger than smaller people's because they had like more money and then they had more people working for them and stuff, so they had more space and more time to do that. And most of the bonanza farms were the only ones who had cook cars because the fields would be so big that they'd have to like drive around to, and that was also pulled by horses.
Oh, okay. Really cool. Very cool. Anyone have any questions for your teachers? Dexter, what's your question?
I was gonna ask about how many men worked on
It said
fields.
about like 20 to 30 would work on the bonanza fields, and then it was like 10 to 15 sometimes would work on like the smaller fields.
Okay. Wow, that's a lot of people. Pretty labor intensive if you need that many people, I guess. Very cool. Any other questions? Okay, Miss Page?
How long did it take to finish the field? I would guess like if there was like a smaller group of people, it would probably be like, I don't know, probably like a day and a half probably. Because the other thing the kids did is they would take like little like bundles of the wheat and they'd beat it to get the seeds out.
Yep.
And that's what mainly went into the cart is like all the seeds and all that they need. So I don't know how long it would take. Probably like if it was a smaller field with less people, probably take like a day to get all it done. And like a day or two. Or if like the bigger fields would get like 3 or 4 days.
That makes sense. I would agree with that. Okay. All right.
Oh,
Oh,
they were making
one last
that.
question. Miss Taya.
What kind of crops did they grow? Mainly wheat. Is what, but like on the bonanza farms, they'd sometimes have corn and like quite a few, like more. And then usually it just be like most people just grow wheat, like the smaller farms.
Yep. You were right. Okay. Thanks, kiddo. Give him a hand, please. Alrighty. So do you guys want to set yours over there too? Please. All right. Who's next?
We are.
All right.
You go next.
We'll see if there's enough time.
We have a couple things.
Okay.
All right, just a second. So Paige and Mr. Bentley, what are you guys teaching us about today?
Immigrant trains.
Immigrant trains. Ooh. Okay.
So we have a little bit to read right here.
Okay.
So it was to get a ticket. It was $65. The trains were very uncomfortable because there were hard wooden benches, and most of the time it was very crowded. The train had multiple passenger cars and a few box cars. There were coal burning stoves that were used to heat these cars. Box cars were used to transport families' belongings.
Okay. Oh, sorry, something got in my contact. Did you see how much? I'm sorry. Did you see how much the immigrant trains costed? I missed that part because my eye was bothering me.
$65.
Okay. And where did they usually start?
What do you mean?
Like, where did they immigrant from?
Mostly from like other states where farming isn't too good, but then most of them would go to like more farm area where there's more farmland.
They would move to better places to like farm and grow their families.
Okay. Did it talk about where they were immigrating from, or what kind of immigrants they were? Were they people who had already lived in the United States, or were they like people who were coming to the United States?
Most of the people that went on the trains were already in the U.S.,
But they were going to different states.
but some people, it didn't say this in, but I bet some people probably came in by like steamboat or something, because by the time they started using these, steamboats were already out, kind of. So they probably rode a boat to like New York, and then had an engine train take them to any farm areas.
But that's why it was so expensive, because most of the time immigrants were coming from different states.
Oh, so they traveled a long ways.
Yeah, that's why I said it was really expensive.
Right, $65 back then. That's a lot of money, right?
Yeah, it is.
So my other question is, how did the train? You might have said this because my contact was bothering me. How did you make the train work? How does it work?
Well, it has, like we said, it has two. Well, we never got all of the box cars down because we didn't have that.
That's
We only
okay.
have 2 box cars.
But there's a few box cars, like 3 of them, and there was multiple passenger cars.
Okay.
And the trains worked like
Steam.
How would you get the steam?
from the coal burning.
And how'd the coal get in there?
There's an oven
There's
inside
an
the
oven
train.
inside of the train that there would be like hired people who would use coals. And while the train was moving, it would keep feeding the fire.
So you're telling me there was a guy who had to sit there and shovel coal to make that train work the whole time?
Yeah, like this guy.
So how would you guys like that for your job?
Oh, not from like states that are like 5 states away.
I'm guessing he had a lot of muscles. What do you guys think?
Cause like,
Yeah.
that's where a lot of coal.
And it's really hot near the furnace because it's burning tons of coal.
Right?
Like actually, it's burning like
and they
25 pounds of coal per minute.
They didn't.
Really?
Probably less than that though, but there's probably at least like 30 pounds worth of coal that they have in there before they have to start getting born.
That'd be interesting for you to find that out for sure, wouldn't it?
But-
Okay.
Yeah, but then they had, because sometimes it was really cold. Not really cold, but sometimes there would be, well, there's for surely burning coals where it would make the train go. But 2, I said that there was coal burning stoves to heat the cars also.
Yeah,
They were just small little fires.
It said in our section that sometimes when people reach their destinations, some of the cars were covered in soot.
Interesting.
Yeah, because some of the people from sitting there, and like especially that person who was shoveling all the coal, they were all full of
That stuff.
because
Maybe just some coal ash that just like got off when shoveling.
I suppose. Okay, anyone have any questions for this group?
Keaton does.
Taya.
why was the
really far away.
It was really far away, and I guess it was a train.
Because trains mostly cost a lot of money to ride. So, and they're going a long ways.
Yeah, it was mostly because of the distance.
Yeah, and to like repay for all the coal and stuff.
Yeah, trains were kind of the main mode of transportation back then, and they were more expensive because there weren't airplanes. Most people didn't have a car, all those things, right? Okay. Jordan and Weston, you guys can go with Mrs. Quamback. Keaton has one question for you guys.
What was the max states that the trains could go to?
Actually, that's a good question. It didn't have it in the section, but it said about the farthest, like it said like New York City, like San Francisco or something, would be like $165. So that's about the max length that they
That
would
was, like,
ultimately
how
go
they
out of the
would-
U.S.
That's like as far as they would get you to go.
Okay.
It was really, really, because you really want to go that far.
Okay, well that makes sense. Okay, kiddos, we have time for one more question. Michael, your question.
Sometimes when they carry like a boxcar full of coal or something.
It was they don't have box cars, they have coal cars which hold coal.
Yeah, that's what
They can present in the morning.
Okay. Do they want to see what everybody's doing now?
They might want to.
I got. Okay. You want to stay
And
on?
Weston leaves.
Alright, like Miss Sarson.
But yeah, that was Michael, most of the time it was mostly just passengers because they're immigrant trains. They were more for traveling people that were immigrants.
They wouldn't be able to like just from here grab coal from like the back of the train, which is more where the box cars are.
Sometimes when they have the boxcar full of coal right next to the front of the train.
Yeah, sometimes they would do that because there was.
Because that's what they needed to use to feed the engine.
Yeah, and some people might like it might be like kind of like an open roof box car that some people might grab it out of and put it into the coal car.
Okay.
And the coal car was mostly like one that connected very close to the train so people could shovel coal.
Right, it'd be close to the engine, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, kiddos, let's give them a hand, please. We have time for one more today. Michael, do you want to wait and do it with Weston in the morning? That's probably more fair, right? Do I have a group where everybody is here to present? How about we'll let Avery and Logan go, and then the other groups can go in the morning. Michael, I just thought you'd rather wait and do it with your partner, because you guys worked on it together for a long time. All right, so Avery and Logan, what are you guys presenting on today? Okay, so what are you going to teach us? What are you going to teach us about towns?
That they needed railroads.
Okay.
Basically buildings.
Okay, so why did the towns need railroads?
Because without transportation, nobody would come to them.
Okay, Dexter, sit down. All right, so the towns, they relied on the railroads for the people to come to them. Okay, so what did you learn about towns? How did they work?
They weren't like in the stores. They had a livery stable where they put horses, where men could stay the night and go wherever they needed to without their horses or something like that.
Okay. All right. What else about the towns? What usually made up the town besides the livery stable?
Schools and churches were the main things that town needed.
Okay, so schools, churches, livery stables, what else?
Stores.
stores,
Okay, what kind of store?
like a general store.
Oh, okay, so at the general store, what kind of things did they have there?
Like
They kind of had a bit of everything, right? General stores would have things like anything from hardware things to food, right? Okay. So what else did you guys learn about the towns? How did they work? Did a lot of people live in the town? Did they have a lot of things, or were they kind of, or how were they?
I was looking for something that
Okay. So they didn't have a lot of people in the towns? Did some of them have a lot of people, or which ones would have more people?
big towns that had basically saloons, school, churches, grain bins, yards, churches, doctors, Jews, hardware, butchers, banks, basically.
Okay, so those were the main things that made up most of the towns?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're saying there were not always a lot of people who lived in them?
Yeah.
Okay. So if they had things like stagecoaches that came into them or train stations and things like that, would they be a bigger town or would they be a smaller town? What do you think?
Could be a bigger town.
Why would they be bigger?
Then they would have a lot of transportation.
Okay, so they would have transportation which draws more people to them? Okay. All right. Anything else you have to share about towns that you learned about?
The people who created the towns are called speculators.
Okay.
They say they bought an acre of land for about like $1.25, and then they sold at a higher price, like $10 an acre.
Oh, okay. So they would go in and invest for a little bit of money, and then they would sell it at a higher profit.
Yeah.
Probably to those people coming in on those immigrant trains. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. All right. Any questions for this group? Bentley.
Would they have any like horse stalls or like horse carriage renting areas?
That would be the livery stable where the horses would stay overnight.
Okay.
Did you?
Any other questions? Michael.
Would they have like places that would mine like coal mines or like gold mines or anything like that?
No.
Well, in North Dakota, there weren't gold mines or coal mines back then. Okay. Later, there were coal, right? We have coal gasification plants and different things now. But back then, they weren't really looking for that in North Dakota. It was more about farming and things like that. Okay. They found gold in South Dakota, though. Right?
That started the South Dakota Gold Rush.
Yes, it did. Okay, one last question. Dexter.
What are the names of the towns?
Oh, buddy, there's a lot of names of towns. That'd be too many for them to...
About the paper towns or just normal towns?
Ooh, good question. So tell them what the difference between the paper towns and the normal
paper
towns.
towns are towns that speculators thought will become like a town, but
Like the paper town in Montana?
Nope. What Logan was saying is paper towns were towns that speculators thought were going to become a town, so they bought up this land and had a town on paper, which never became a real town.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And a real town
Is like Binford, like where we're at. Yeah. Okay,
where I'm standing right now.
where you're sitting, yes. Okay, kiddos, give them a hand, please. All right.